Welcome to Time to Teach with Tammy, the podcast that gives tips, advice, and suggestions to teachers by a real teacher. So sit back and enjoy. And oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe. And we're back. Welcome to episode 92 of Time to Teach. Today's title is Thanksgiving Stations. And I do have to say, I'm sending this out a little bit late. Typically, I meant to take a fall break, and I am going to take a fall break. But I also didn't get my normal Sunday podcast up, and that is because, you guys, I have been dealing with some kind of chest thing. My throat has not been hurting, but I have been congested. I've had, maybe just the first day I had burning and pressure in my chest, and it's been somewhat uncomfortable to even talk. So there was no way that I was able to do the podcast, which I kind of thought, well, that's okay. It comes in timely fashion because I'm planning on this fall break anyway. However, I would have had liked to have announced that I was taking a break. But today, actually, my voice and is sounding better, and I'm feeling better than I have felt in probably a week. So I thought I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to put out a bonus episode. So you're welcome. Anywho, this might be coming late for some of you, but I also realize that some of you are still at school this week, at least for the first 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So what I'm going to explain in today's episode is kind of how I did my Thanksgiving stations. I love stations, you guys. I mean, there's so many ways to do stations, and probably everyone has their own explanation on what stations are and how to do stations, but I love stations, and I love it especially for days like this. Even though I'm in Mexico, if you've been listening for a while, you know. If you haven't, you still know, because now you know. So anyway, all of that was to say, so because I'm at an American school, we actually do celebrate Thanksgiving. Anyway, I love stations that are around days like this because I love that we can do something a little bit different. Even though I love routine, you guys, I feel like I thrive on routine and structure. It just grounds me, and I really need that in my life. And I think it's true for students as well. I'm convinced for sure young learners, but I bet you that kids of all walks of life, in all grades, probably mostly. Will always be exceptions. But anyway, it is kind of nice to have a day where you're doing something a little bit different. So even though routines are great, and I think those are important, and that's what the bulk of what your days should look like, it's also nice to have a day where you can do something a little bit different. So that's another reason why I love stations. And a second reason would be that I love just incorporating some really cool academic things tied into whatever that day is. So Thanksgiving. I did one also for Halloween, and I don't even know if I talked about it on the podcast. Actually, I'm thinking now I should have done an episode on that. But anyway, stations like what I'm about to explain to you can be tweaked for any kind of holiday. And so let me explain, and then we can further discuss that point. So basically, when I do stations, I will open up one station per however many table groups I have, at least as a minimum. And I have 4 table groups. But let's see, for Thanksgiving, I think I did open up a 5th station. and had that fifth station be at my kidney table just to give like extra options. So again, I just at least as many table groups. But then the idea is that within each station, it has a slightly different focus. And I allow my students to choose the station they want, which is why I want as many options as possible. I'm hoping that my students will find something, at least one of the 5 stations that they are interested in. The way I did this last week, because we went through Friday, so Friday was my last day, I actually did it instead of Friday Fun Time. This is what we did. It was Friday Fun Time Thanksgiving Stations. Not a super creative name, but you guys have been sick and whatever. That's the name I gave it. So yeah, that's what it was. So it was actually really cool. I really liked doing my Friday Fun Time that way. And the kids really liked it too. And then they get to choose the station they want. And then of course, once they go into a station, they can also then choose another station. So they don't have to stay in the station if they're like, oh, this is really cool and fun and now I want to move on. They can. My only requirement is that we don't go more than 6 to a station, and that's just because of probably the resources that I set up. There might not be enough materials for more than 6. In fact, I plan for no more than 6, so that will likely be true. And then also because more than 6 can sometimes get crowded. So what were my stations 6.5 minutes later? These were the stations. Well, let's see if I can remember them. Number 1, I had a seesaw station. So I had found a really cool activity on seesaw, because if you're not familiar with seesaw, get familiar with it. That's the best advice I can give. It's just amazing. But teachers can leave activities, and I found one that a teacher had left, and they it was like create a turkey, and you can move the different body parts and create a turkey. So I thought that's really cool. My kids love working on seesaw, and they're obviously creative. They're young, they're little. They love doing anything like that. So I left that in seesaw and one other activity. Oh, and a story, a Thanksgiving story in seesaw. So that was one station. A second station was a coloring station. So Thanksgiving coloring station, not really much going on there, just coloring pages, and you color it. What else is there to say to that one? But I do have some kids who just love coloring, and I think it calms them. It's just a really nice activity. And if you're someone who's like, no, we got to be doing other things, you guys, I really feel like for young kiddos, we really need to be working on the fine motor skills. So I'm all for things where you have to cut, you have to color, all of those things that are building the fine motor, because I feel like as schools, we've done less and less of those things because we want to focus everything on the academics. The academics is great, but it should all be incorporated. We can't do things at the expense of other things. Somehow we really have to learn how to incorporate all those things so that we're developing everything that needs to be developed, because it's really difficult. I've seen students with underdeveloped fine motor skills, and it's very impeding on the things that they can do. So we do need to work on those skills. So moving on. My third station was a puzzle station. It was Thanksgiving pictures. Literally the same pictures that I set out for the coloring pictures, I put in the puzzle pictures. So I printed, when I say I specifically mean my TA. I just explained to her how we were going to do this, and she got it all going. So props to my TA. But anyway, so we copied the coloring pictures onto colored paper and then just cut it up. I've been doing puzzles. Again, when I say I mean my TA has been physically doing this, but I guess would be the correct way to say this. We've been doing this quite a bit. We did this also for Halloween, and perhaps that's the only other time we did it. So when I say we've been doing it quite a bit, that's super exaggerated. We've done it twice, but I do have plans to do more of it. But anyway, so printing it on colored paper and then just cutting up the just cutting strips of it. So then they have to like match the puzzle back together. It's really cool. I love this because I love puzzles in general. I just feel like puzzles are so important in terms of problem solving and logic and things like that. I love those kind of things in the classroom. I just think they're super great. So that was the station. Station 4. What was station 4? Oh, station 4 was a step-by-step how to draw a turkey. So we printed out the steps and never explained to the kids how to do it. Their job was you had to look at the steps and just follow the directions. I also love things like that too, because I love when kids have to kind of take ownership and be accountable for what they're doing. And it's not just someone saying, now do this, now do that. They have to actually follow something step by step. And then the 5th station was a hide the turkey Lego station. They had to like build a shelter for the turkey to hide into, because obviously Thanksgiving Day, and no turkey wants to be caught on Thanksgiving Day. So that was it. And my kids loved those stations. It was the best thing. It was the best way to have a Friday fun time, where it was also, I felt very academic, all the things that they were working on. And it was also very theme based because we were already celebrating Thanksgiving. When I celebrate Thanksgiving with my kids, I really focus more on the gratitude part for a couple of reasons. I know that the whole way that Thanksgiving has been taught in the past has been inaccurate, and there are strong feelings that way. I'm not even sure at this point that I feel like I'm 100% comfortable even relaying it. I'm not sure how to address it. This is probably largely due to the fact that I've been out of the States for a while. So that's one reason. And then number 2 is because I am in Mexico. I think the biggest thing that my kids they don't necessarily need to know all of the story behind it. The biggest thing that we're getting out of it is the gratitude part. So I just focus on gratitude. I'm sure when I'm back in the States, that will change and I will understand better how to address Thanksgiving with my students. But yeah, so that's why I just really take it more of like a gratitude route. And this whole week has really been all about gratitude. We had our class meeting on Monday, and it was again about gratitude. And we read a story. I don't remember what we read. And then we talked about gratitude. We shared with each other things that we're thankful for. And then on their quote unquote homework, it's not really homework. All they have to do is reading. And then I have suggested activities. Those are all optional. They do not have to do it. But I always have a social and emotional piece to it. So on the social and emotional piece, it was all things about gratitude, like at the dinner table, everybody go around and share something that they're thankful for, and all these different activities that the family could do together if they choose to. They don't have to. One of the activities was to have a gratitude journal. So I've really been focusing on thankfulness and gratitude the whole entire week. So the Thanksgiving stations were just the perfect way to end the week and kind of close out that whole topic, which we're never closing the idea of being grateful, but to close it, come to an end inside my classroom. I do feel like closing things are important. Putting closure is always good. So that's it, you guys. Not really a long episode, kind of a bonus, although granted I never was able to put out my Sunday episode and I felt really bad. But you guys, I've just been really sick, and I think I mentioned this a few episodes before. I haven't been batching this year like I usually do. I just have a lot going on, things that I won't get into right now, but I'm sure I'll discuss later on the podcast. But I'm having a very busy year. A lot of things happening and a lot of different things. So whenever there's something, it's very different when you're having the busyness of the normal things that you're used to and you kind of know how to navigate all of that because you have experience from before. But then when you're all of a sudden you're busy because there are different things going on in your life, different from what you're normally doing, navigating those waters become a little more tricky because there are new things that you're figuring out. So that's kind of where I am in my busyness. And granted, yesterday I sat on the couch and did probably nothing. So I'm busy doing nothing. Just kidding. I do feel like when you're on break, sometimes you do have to take a moment to just breathe. And that's what I did yesterday because I've not been feeling well, and I will not feel bad about that. But I'm feeling more energetic and better today. So I have some plans to get some stuff done. This was also one of my plans. Okay, you guys, that is it. I'm going to go into my wins and fails segment for the week. Well, I think it's no joke about the Thanksgiving stations being a big win. They were so great, you guys. If you've not done stations and not done it like this, I just highly encourage you to just try it. I love stations so much. They're so nice. So that was a big win. A big fail, I would say, is just the fact that, I've been sick, and I think I've been sick for, I was going to say a week, but I don't think it's actually been a week. It's been maybe like 4 or 5 days. So I guess getting close to a week. So that would be the fail. It's just really hard when you're a teacher, as you guys know, because I'm assuming most of my audience members are teachers or educators of some sort. It's really, really hard when you're not feeling well because teaching is so demanding, and it's such like you're communicating so much. Thank goodness, you guys, that I have a TA who's been like super helpful. She was able to like sing the kids down to the carpet and help me in ways like that she could. But I don't even know what I would have done without her, because I don't like taking time off if I'm not absolutely like, if I can get out of bed, I want to be at school. I just don't necessarily like just staying home. So I don't really try to go in if I can. And especially since I haven't felt like horrible. I've just had low energy, like really low energy. And then my voice with the burning and the pressure just makes it very uncomfortable to talk, which is why I wasn't able to get an episode out, because I just couldn't. What I'm doing today is pretty great because I've not been able to do this without discomfort. Talking is what I mean. So that would be my fail. But on that note, I'm already feeling improvement. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, that's it, you guys. Short and sweet. Just to reiterate, Time to Teach is now on fall break. So we will be back probably within, I was going to say a couple of weeks, which would probably be our normal schedule. So it might be to make it an actual break, it's probably going to be more like 3 to 4 weeks. That will be really great because it will let me work on some things that I need to work on and to get better, which better not take 3 to 4 weeks. Well, that is it, you guys. On that note, we're going to wrap up today's episode. If you try any of these stations, any of them, all of them, or if you have other ideas, I would love to hear from you. The best way to contact me would be on Twitter. I can be reached at TammyJ123. That's at TAMIJ123. Until next time.
Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Before you go, don't forget you can catch our show notes online at www.timetoteach.libsyn. That's libsyn.com. We're also on Facebook at Time to Teach. Don't forget to check out our Facebook group, Teachers for Effective Curriculum. And if you're an educator with your own podcast show, I invite you to join our brand new Facebook group, Teachers Who Podcast. Let's grow a community where we can network, problem solve, and discuss anything and everything podcast related. I'll see you there.